Hey YouTube. So I'm gonna be reacting to someone called Amir Odom. This is an LGBT YouTuber who has jumped on the right-wing pipeline train, and he likes to make videos about how crazy the LGBT community is. And I'm just gonna be reacting to one of his most popular videos called My Concerns with the LGBTQ Community. It has over 1 million views. It was uploaded a year ago, but I'm going to react to it anyway because I think it is a pretty cringy video. I'm not going to be reacting to all of it because it is a long video, so I'm going to be skipping some parts, but I'm going to try to react to most of it.
What the is going on? We've got kids at pride parades performing drag and transitioning. We've got trans adults dominating sports, drag queens and Blue's Clues, and an endless amount of pronouns. Something needs to be said. Here are my concerns. What's up, everybody? Today we'll be talking all about the gay community. Specifically, we'll be talking about my concerns with the LGBTQ community, because things are getting a little bit out of hand. Maybe not a little bit, a lot of it. It's getting out of hand, and truth be told, the gay community does not speak on my behalf. Why should what I do in private automatically define my worldview, politics, and culture?
He watches.
Okay, so he asks, why should my sexual orientation have any impact on who I vote for and how I live my life in public? And the answer to that for me would be, well, if one political party has a major issue with gay people and a lot of them seek to get rid of certain rights and seek to move our society back in time in terms of things like gay marriage, discrimination laws, and things like that, then of course it's going to have an impact on who you vote for. Naturally, if you're gay, you shouldn't want to vote for someone who is trying to take away your rights and who has a fundamental problem with who you are. So, I feel like this question is very disingenuous and it's kind of playing dumb, in my opinion. It's just kind of bad faith. But let's keep watching.
Sports for fun. That's not gay.
How come if someone's gay, they have to be a part of the gay community? They're automatically thrown in this box of everything quote unquote gay. But if you're straight...
So there really is no one gay community. There's many different communities consisting of gay people. There's many different groups within the gay community that you're talking about. I think a lot of the stuff you mention in this video is really chronically online stuff that isn't happening as much in real life as you think.
You're just straight. All of a sudden, if you're gay, you're thrown in this little box of talk like this, act like this, love the drag queens, love the rainbows. It's uncalled for. Why should what I do behind closed doors have to define my entire worldview?
So, who is saying that? Because, again, I think a lot of this is just chronically online stuff. Yes, there's a lot of people who are very pushy, you have to be like this. But in real life, I think a lot of people are more accepting of differences. Of course, people on Twitter are crazy and, they like to dogpile and they have a hard time seeing things beyond just black and white because a lot of people who use that site are teenagers. But I don't know, I feel like this is just a lot of generalization, and
being black is merely just a part of me. Being gay is merely just a part of me. But first, I'm Amir. That's my identity. That's how my personality is defined. It's Amir. And far too often, I'm seeing people, especially the younger generation, come out as gay and feel like they have to be the stereotype. They feel like they have to change their voice. They have to wear the rainbows. They have to like the drag queens. They have to hop on grind.
I mean, that's kind of just part of being a teenager. I don't really feel like that's specifically a problem with gay culture. Like, that's just part of being a teenager, is like you want to fit in with whatever groups you're a part of. You want to dress like them, look like them, talk like them. But I don't see how that's specific at all to the LGBT community. I feel like that's just part of being young, and most people grow out of that, so.
And that shouldn't be the case. I'm an individual with my own thoughts and my own mind. And so are you. No one should be allowing any characteristic of themselves to identify their entire world, their entire being. Because truth be told, and again, I mean this with the utmost respect, this community that's like equality and love and acceptance and diversity is a bunch of copy and paste clones. Because the second you have someone that has a different point of view, that operates differently, you shun them down.
Well, it depends on the point of view, because a lot of these different points of views that you put it are harmful, bigoted, and of course people are going to criticize those views. Now, if you want to consider that like a bad thing, then, but to me, like, if somebody is saying a bunch of ignorant stuff just because they're in the gay community doesn't mean that I should just be silent and just let them say whatever they want. And they can say whatever they want because we live in a free country. Like, they're allowed to say what they want, but I am allowed to criticize them for saying those things. With that being said, a lot of people do go overboard. So I think he's right that there are a lot of people who get overzealous, especially on Twitter, because it's full of like teenagers and stuff. But at the same time, like, it depends on what you mean by different opinions, because some opinions are very harmful and need to be addressed.
Why is that? I don't understand it. I don't know why all of a sudden, just because what someone does behind closed doors, they have to subscribe to this entire idea and its entire being, when that shouldn't be the case. My next concern, which is this idea that anyone who disagrees with anything gay, you're automatically homophobic. We should...
Okay, so a lot of people subscribe to this kind of thought that, like, homophobia is a fear of gay people and gayness. But that's not necessarily true for a lot of people. Like, to me, homophobia is anyone who is averse towards homosexuality and gayness, so it's not just a fear. And to me, anyone who says things like, oh, you know, being gay is a sin, or being around gay men makes me uncomfortable, or I'm afraid lesbians are going to hit on me, that to me all indicates homophobia, because it indicates an aversion towards homosexuality, not necessarily a fear.
To be allowed to voice our opinion without being scared of being called transphobic, homophobic, whatever it may be. There's a strong difference.
If you say stuff that is homophobic, transphobic, then yeah, people are going to call you homophobic and transphobic. It's not necessarily wrong to call someone that if they are saying a bunch of homophobic and transphobic shit. Now, people do often go overboard. I don't think anyone should be harassed. I don't think anyone should be bullied, but people should be criticized for the stuff that they say. They should be held accountable.
Difference between someone disagreeing with gay people versus being homophobic. You can disagree with gay people all...
I don't agree with that. I think it's the same thing. If you disagree with gay people, I mean, how do you disagree with them? How do you disagree with people existing? Like, you disagree with them being homosexual because you on some level have an aversion towards it. That means you are homophobic to some degree. Does that mean that every single person who is homophobic is an unredeemable monster? No, of course not. But a lot of people on Twitter go overboard because there's a lot of really young, overzealous people on Twitter.
All day long. You cannot like what they do all day long, but as long as you treat me with respect, as long as you're not scared of me, you're shunning me away, you're not homophobic in my.
So a lot of people who are homophobic might not necessarily run around calling gay people slurs and outright treating them badly, but a lot of people who are homophobic end up voting for policies and laws that discriminate and remove protections towards gay people. And to me, that is part of not respecting me. Like, you can respect me to my face, but if you turn around and vote for policies that actively harm me, then I'm calling that respect into question.
My book. As a grown adult, you have the right to your own opinion and your own values. I don't care what you think. I do care if you're trying to stop me from progressing and you're not seeing and trying to make sure that I'm not seen as equal as you. I care about that. Context matters. And
Well, how people think impacts how they treat others. So if somebody is bigoted and prejudiced against gay people, trans people, whatever, that usually impacts how they treat those people. So your beliefs and what you do are not like disconnected, they're related to each other.
typically, when someone says they don't like gay people, they're really referring to not liking the gay community and the gay culture, not that individual.
So, what is the gay culture? Like, is it the popular culture on TV? Because I don't think that accurately reflects, like, how many gay people live. Um, what a lot of people mean by the gay culture is basically a bunch of stereotypes that they have about gay people that I don't think are really accurate to real life and people who like live outside the internet.
They don't care what that individual does in private, but they care about all the things that are happening within the gay culture and the gay community. That's what they don't like. There's a lot of gay people who feel the same way. There's a lot of gay people who don't subscribe and do not like the LGBTQ plus community because
Yeah, and a lot of those gay people, not all of them, but a lot of them have internalized homophobia and they are embarrassed about being gay and they are trying to distance themselves from any form of visible gayness because they are ashamed. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're bad people, but it's something to consider.
it's because they like the same sex, their own missions. All the progress that's been made to make everyone equal and gay acceptance, I feel like it's being washed away because of how radical the TQ plus side of things has become. The root word of sexuality is sex. There's male and there's female, and the main difference between the two is a penis and a vagina. That's it. The only reason someone's gay is because they like the same sex. The only reason someone's bisexual is because they like both sexes. The only reason someone's straight is because they only like the opposite sex. Penis, vagina, that's it. Full stop.
So again, this is a case of everyone's different. Like, some gay people place a lot of value in genitals, and that's fine. I think most trans people would agree that that isn't transphobic. Maybe a couple teens on Twitter might disagree with that, but I think the average trans person who isn't crazy is going to agree that that's fine. But for a lot of people, for me, for example, like, I do not place that much importance on the genitals. To me, the secondary sex characteristics are more important. So this includes, like, voice, facial hair, things like that are more important to me than the genitals. So for a lot of people, it's not just about the genitals.
Stop. That's what it means to be gay. That's what it means to be straight. That's what it means to be bisexual. And now you have the TQ plus, which is all expression, being lumped into what it means to be gay, straight, or like at the end of the day.
So a lot of trans people are gay also. So a lot of these people are part of multiple communities. So a lot of trans people are also gay. So it kind of all is interconnected with each other, even though they might seem completely separate. That's not necessarily the case. And I don't think the TQ is all about expression. Um, I'm not necessarily sure what that means.
The trans, the non-binaries, the they, thems, all that, you still only like one or two or both things. And there's a real issue that's happening now regarding trans people and gays and lesbians. Because trans people are erasing what it means to be gay and to be a lesbian. Because
I don't really think that's true. I think that it's more that they're expanding what it means to be gay and lesbian. Um,
I'm gay based off of sex. I'm gay because I'm a male that likes males. Lesbians are females who like females. Again, we're going back. This is like I feel like I'm explaining such a simple concept.
okay, so you're allowed to you're allowed to have that as your experience, but a lot of trans people have more characteristics similar to the sex that they're transitioning to than their birth sex. It's not just about the genitals. Like a lot of it is about secondary sex characteristics, which I feel like this video doesn't really include.
But for some reason it's gotten so misconstrued. Sexuality, root word sex, sex, male, female, penis, vagina. Now we live in this world where we're saying trans women are women and trans men are men. Okay, let's pause here. If we're saying trans men are men and trans men, they're not just men. We're saying trans men because they're transitioning from one gender to another. A trans man is now a man. What does that make me?
I think it makes you both men. I mean, a lot of trans men get surgery to have penises, but a lot of trans men also just pass in society as men. Like, a lot of people don't even see that they're trans.
Because I don't want the body part that a trans man has. And that doesn't make me transphobic.
Well, who is calling you transphobic because you don't want the body part that a trans man has? Like, is it a couple overzealous teens on Twitter? Or are these like actual trans people? Because from what I've seen, most trans people respect genital preferences. So
I'm literally relying on science and the actual definition of what it means to be a gay man. I only like the male genitalia. So by telling me that I need to,
so if you only like that genitalia, that's fine. Doesn't make you transphobic, but you saying that trans men are not men is definitely transphobic because you're refusing to acknowledge the validity of their genders, which is why they're transitioning to begin with.
woman, that you're telling me a trans woman is a woman. That lesbian does not want male genitalia. Like, it's making me feel crazy. Like,
So there's a lot of lesbians who don't want to date trans women. Doesn't necessarily make them transphobic, but there's a lot of lesbians who do date trans women. And I don't necessarily feel like we can go around saying, oh, you're not a lesbian.
how the hell am I transphobic now by not wanting to be with a trans man? When the only reason I'm
So this is a common misconception that a lot of people have is like they think that the trans community thinks that people are transphobic because they don't want to date people that don't have the genitals they're attracted to, but the common consensus in a lot of these communities is that it's not transphobic to have a genital preference. You are allowed to have a genital preference. Doesn't make you transphobic.
gay is because I like men. I don't get it, y'all. I'm confused.
Okay, so you're calling trans men women, and you're saying you can't see how people are calling you transphobic. Like, this is a little bit disingenuous. Like, to me, this is kind of bad faith.
Real. This is not real life. I don't understand why this is seen as hateful, but there will never be a situation where a trans man is a man. A trans woman is a woman. They are a trans woman. They are a trans man. And they should be recognized as that. My next concern regarding the LGBTQ community is Pride Month.
It's not just about gay, it's about sexual gay. Everyone on the floats, if you've been watching, they've been all sexual and shimming and everything, and naked sailors and whatnot. So I think it's more about this sexualized culture, and it's almost kind of sexualizing young children. That's my take on it. I think it's a little too...
So I think there's valid criticisms to be had. I think Pride Month can get very sexual, and it shouldn't be like that if there's kids around. But at the same time, I think a lot of this is being dramatized. I think children get sexualized way more in any other context than in Pride Month, and I think a lot of these outraged reactions and this whole "oh my god, we must think of the children" thing is disproportionately focusing on Pride Month compared to all the other avenues in which children are sexualized. Children are sexualized in Hollywood every single day, and it has nothing to do with gay people or LGBT.
Maybe they would represent it in the countries where it matters most, the countries where gay people are killed. Maybe that'd be a thing, but no. In America, everything's rainbow. In the Middle East, everything's black and white. Why is that?
Because in the Middle East, people are afraid that they're gonna get thrown in jail or shot for openly showing pride. The reason why pride is so prominent in America is because people are legally allowed to do those things. But I would imagine in those countries, it's much more of a safety concern.
You have people dressed completely wild, and there's kids around. What? Who allowed them?
So I agree that like none of that should be happening when there's kids around, but at the same time, I feel like pride shouldn't really be focused on kids that much. Like I feel like kids shouldn't really be allowed in a lot of these parades, period. I feel like Pride should be a more adult-themed event. There should be Pride parades for kids that are more age-appropriate.
My next concern is the over-sexualization and involvement of children.
Happy Pride, everybody!
Happy Pride!
Who here knows what gay pride means?
It means where like all the gay people, transgender, lesbian, bisexual people gather up and celebrate.
That's absolutely right. It's a celebration of sexual diversity. I mean, everybody...
Okay, so I don't think kids knowing what pride is automatically over-sexualizing them. Otherwise, there would be a lot of things taught in schools that people would try to get rid of because it's considered over-sexualizing. And again, I think this very disproportionate focus on the LGBTQ community and pride parades, I think isn't as much about protecting children as it is trying to make the LGBTQ community look bad. Because there are way more other contexts in which children are being sexualized that a lot of people don't have an issue with.
You should aspire to grow up and be a gay icon.
And that's what Pride Day is all about.
You're right. See you at Pride, everybody!
Why can't we just leave the kids out of this? They are too young to be thinking about anything sex. And I mean this for both straight and gays. I mean this across the board. Why are kids at Hooters? Why are kids at pride parades? Why are there child pageant shows? Why are we dolling up 2-year-olds in a full glam makeup and bikini?
So I agree with him on this, but again, I don't think this is really exclusive to the LGBT community. I don't think this is a problem inherent with the LGBT community. This is a society-wide problem. So, yeah.
All of it's weird. When it comes to sexuality, leave these kids alone. This extends to even kids' shows.
Trans members of this family all love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in the big parade. Come join the fun!
All of this LGBTQ.
Kids need to know the things that exist in this world, and I agree with him that it shouldn't go too far. It definitely shouldn't be overly sexual. But kids need to know that gay people exist. Kids need to know that trans people exist. Kids need to know that slavery was once a thing. Like, kids need to know these things. Like, I don't think wrapping kids in bubble wrap is the solution.
My next concern, why are drag queens so hell-bent on performing in front of children? I'm dumbfounded at the link between that people try to make between a drag queen and a kid. Why do drag queens feel the need to read to children? Why are you teaching?
Okay, but is this really a common occurrence? Because I don't think it is. I think he's pulling, like, all these different incidents and mashing it all together to make it seem like drag queens performing in front of kids is so common that it needs to be addressed, which I don't think it is.
Teaching them how to twerk.
And you're crouched down into this sort of position here, so your bum's sticking out. Hope you're taking this all in. And then you just move your bum up and down like that, and that's twerking.
Why are you having children perform?
So again, this is an issue, but it's not really exclusive to the LGBT community. He's making it seem like it's such a huge problem in the LGBT community, but this is really a society-wide problem where, especially in Hollywood, where a lot of kids feel the pressure to act more mature, show off their skin more. This is not an LGBT thing.
I don't understand why the drag queens feel the need to be around children. This idea that it should be...
Okay, feel the need to be around children. So drag queens who don't want to completely avoid children are somehow predators? I'm not really sure what point he's making here.
My next concern, kids transitioning.
I tell everyone if you're a boy or a girl.
Okay. Phoenix would like you to know that she's a girl and she prefers she and her pronouns.
I've done too much in this world. It's ruined my life.
These children have no idea what's going on. Kids can't smoke, drink, drive, vote. A kid can't even get a tattoo because it's permanent on their body. But all of a sudden, we're okay with them making permanent decisions, life-changing decisions, because of the way they're feeling.
So I'm not really that educated on this topic, so I don't really feel like I can speak on it much, but I think the issue of kids transitioning is really not as commonplace as he's trying to make it. I don't think there's this huge widespread phenomena of kids transitioning. I think it's definitely possible for a kid to have such severe dysphoria that they feel the need to transition. And I think that option should be explored. Do I think that kids should be rushed into it? No, of course not. And I definitely don't think parents should be pressuring their kids either way in any sort of direction.
That brings me right into my next concern, is the LGBTQ community not highlighting and talking about people who are detransitioning and talking about the harms and the risk that come with transitioning.
Well, I learned my lesson, but my breasts are never coming back. And it's like, it's a much more profound loss.
So I don't think the LGBT community generally has problems with people who detransition. What they do have problems with are detransitioners who decide to detransition and just say a bunch of transphobic shit. Like, oh, transitioning isn't valid. People who transition are misguided. Transitioning is always a bad choice. People who transition will regret it. Like, all those things are not only not true, but they're pretty blatantly transphobic. So, of course, those things are going to be criticized.
Ruin.
No one's talking about that. No one's talking about how you have to have a chunk of your forearm taken out to create other body parts. No one's talking about a lifelong prescription to pills. No one's talking about all the health effects that happen on later on life as you grow up.
So, most people aren't talking about it because I think statistically, I could be wrong, but I think statistically, most people who medically transition don't regret it. Detransitioners just aren't statistically significant enough for a lot of people to be talking about it.
And or listen to this video mean the world to me. If you were to share this, if it resonated with you, share it with other gay people, straight people, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people I feel who need to hear this message. There's a lot of people out.
Well, I heard it and I'm reacting to it. So yeah, that was my reaction to his video. It was very long, so I did have to skip past some parts, but I hope all of you enjoyed it. If you want more of this content, please like and subscribe.